What is up, guys? It's Amir from Panelfly here, and we are going to break down episode one of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, baby. Um, I thought it was a pretty good episode. Obviously, we have to get introduced to the characters, and obviously, this isn't going to be some huge epic where we follow multiple POVs, multiple main character POVs. That is, it's pretty much Dunk's POV, and we're pretty much just following the adventures of Dunk and Egg. I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, it's going to be shorter format, shorter episodes, and a shorter season. It's going to be about 6 episodes in the season, and it's going to be 30-minute long episodes. I thought it was pretty good. I'm gonna try and play a little bit here and there and share my screen. I'm thinking maybe break it down by every couple minutes and just kind of explain what happened and what we saw. But you know me, I like to go off track for sure. So we'll definitely be doing some of that. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Let me see. Okay, perfect. Sharing my screen. Hopefully, I can play this. And there is Dunk doing his good old thing. I'm doing this live, so don't know if it's going to. There we go. Okay. But anyways, so we're introduced to Dunk. He is obviously burying Sir Arlen of Pennytree, who is his knight, his master. He is the squire to him. He found him in King's Landing, noticed he was tall, and took a liking to him. And so from there on, he basically became Dunk's. Dunk basically became Sir Arlen of Pennytree Squire. And it's he. So we open with him dying, and Dunk is burying him, and so we're kind of left with the question, and that's what they're trying to be ambiguous about. I believe Ira Parker is the showrunner. I think he wrote a few episodes on House of Dragon as a screenwriter, and now he is show running A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And so basically, it honestly opens pretty much word for word, scene for scene from the novellas. The Hedge Knight, which is the first novella. Dunk is burying him, and he is basically, saying some words. He doesn't know the words, and essentially he doesn't know what to say, and he kind of doesn't know what to do. So he's, thinking to himself what he should do next with his life. Essentially, he has a refresh on life. The only guy who literally ever knew him in the world just died. I mean, imagine no one knowing you, no family, no nothing, no phones, nothing, no social media. The only guy who you've ever known, a father figure, just died. Essentially, he can do whatever he wants. And he was squire to him. So again, we go back to this ambiguity, uh, uh, um, of if Sir Arlen ever actually knight him? Is he actually a knight? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. To be honest, if you live like a knight, you eat like a knight, you do things like a knight, whatever, you are a knight. But either way, it's not really clear and it's not really answered. And so he's, thinking to himself, what should he do? And basically, he decides to go to Ashford, where there's a big tourney. And I think they were on the way there already. It's been a minute since I've read the books, so I'm a little sparse on knowledge, but I read them all. And so he decides he's going to say he's a knight. He's going to go to the tourney and he's going to try and make a name for himself. So not only is this really like the adventures of Dunk and Egg, but it's really a story of ambition. This guy who comes from nothing, nobody knows him, you know, and he's ambitious. What is he going to do for himself? So he is a hedge knight, which is essentially a freelancer. He has no land, no other titles besides knight, and nothing else going for him. He's a freelancer. He hops around from job to job, gig to gig. If there's anything he can help with, to offer his services to other lords. And so that's kind of where we open up. And we see that, it's kind of comedic. This definitely has a different tone to Game of Thrones or House of Dragon for sure. So I'm gonna try and skip around a bit because I don't want to break it down every minute by every minute. And so let's go here. Okay, let's go back. So essentially, here what's happening is he just decided to go to Ashford Meadow, and he decided to make a name for himself. He just chose the path he wanted to take in life, and they're about to start playing the actual Game of Thrones theme song, and then they cut to him doing this from the Game of Thrones theme song. Oh gosh, hold on. He's literally taking a dump. And they did that on purpose. I know it's like, well, why did they just throw that in there? But they're trying to show that this is a totally different story, a totally different feel, a totally different theme. So it's like you have this heroic moment, Game of Thrones theme song, and then boom, he's taking a dump because they want to show that this isn't that type of story. So now let's go on to Boy Named Egg, who we're introduced to finally. So he just met Egg. Dunk and Egg have met. Dunk mistakes him for the stable boy and basically tells him, take care of his horses while he goes in and eats and do all that. And quickly we find out Egg wants to be a squire, and it's just kind of funny because their dynamic is basically, Dunk is ambitious, but he's not very smart, and he's brave and courageous, has all the personality of a knight, and then Egg, who's very smart, and very astute, and very tells it like it is. And we'll learn why that is later. I want to say it actually probably is going to be episode 2. I think the end of episode 2, possibly 3, depending on what comes next. Because I'm not going to give any spoilers, but Dunk is somebody and Egg is somebody, and they kind of are hiding their little secrets. But anyways, so we're introduced to Egg here at the little tavern. We're going to the next key moment.
The palfrey rubbed down.
Roasted with a crust of herbs and some ducks my son shot down. Which you'll have?
Right here.
Both.
So that's a kind of a key to who he is right there. He just put down a Targaryen gold coin. Obviously, the Targaryens are still in power in this era, and that is a gold coin, which is obviously worth the most, and the Targaryen sigil will be on that. And then I believe in this world, the silver coin it's got the stag on it for the Baratheons. So it kind of shows right now who the most powerful houses are in this world. Obviously, the Targaryens are still in power, but their power is declining. They don't have dragons. So this is set roughly 100 years after House of Dragons and 100 years before Game of Thrones. Technically, I think it's like 90 years before Game of Thrones and like 80 something years after House of Dragons, something like that. But anyways, so their power is declining. They have no real necessarily reason to be in power besides politics. And that is actually one reason why they're going to the tourney, to show face to other lords, to politic in the background. And what's so funny about this series is usually in like Game of Thrones or House of Dragons, we would see those meetings where the Targaryens are politicking with their other lords and things like that. But this isn't that type of show. So we're going to see everything through the commoner, which in this case is Dunk. And Dunk would not be in those meetings where the Targaryens are politicking, in nicer pavilions with the other lords and things like that. But anyways, all this to say is not necessarily, I don't want to get too spoilery, but I will say this is, oh man, I'm trying, me, I like to spoil. I don't know if this is a spoiler if I say who he is. Well, anyways, like I said, he dropped a Targaryen coin, so you kind of can put two and two together of generally who he is. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm gonna try not to spoil too much. So I'll leave that at that, I guess. So let me go on to, I think, what the next good point to talk about is.
Yeah. Came for the tourney.
Okay, so this is kind of important. So it's funny because the way Dunk, obviously, Dunk is like, he's honorable. He has the personality of a knight. And the way he introduces himself is so like sus. It's like, bro, just introduce yourself as a knight and tell him you know what's up. Like, be confident in yourself. And he does the exact opposite of that. He basically gives it away that, is he really a knight? Did Sir Arlen really knight him? People don't know me, but I'm here to enter in the tourney, so I can make a name for myself. And so we're introduced to Plummer, who's basically a steward for House Ashford. He's actually no one of Highborn or nothing important. He's just the master of the games, doing all the book work and stuff like that. And basically through him, we're introduced to the rules of the tourney. And obviously now he's a little suspect of Dunk because Dunk basically didn't sell himself as a knight. And so he goes on to basically explain the rule. He makes a joke saying that basically if you're lying about being a knight, he's gonna kill you and things like that. But he's just joking. He honestly does not care. But he does go on to say that House Ashford, they're trying to politic themselves with the Targaryens, and they want to be on the come up. They want to be more than just like a vassal. They want to, be established. And so he goes on to say that we're basically only taking like knights of a certain stature, like popular knights and stuff like that. But he's like, we will take you if you have a lord or some other knight vouch for you. And he goes on to kind of explain the rules, like, hey, if you enter in the tourney, you basically have to give up everything you have as winnings. So if Dunk wins in the tourney, then he can take the knight he beats armor, he can take their horse, their sword, and he has that glorified glory of winning. So basically, he actually gets monetary value. So he can get money through selling the other knight's armor or ransoming it back to the knight. And that's usually what happens. The knights usually just buy their stuff back if they have money. And so Plummer explains that if you lose, do you have the money to buy your armor back? Because you're going to have to give up your armor, your horse, and everything like that. And essentially, he's like, I don't have the money, but, I plan on winning and stuff like that. And he's like, all right, well, if that's the case, since no one knows you, and again, he's sus, he's like, you're going to have to get a knight or a lord to vouch for you. And then he basically says, oh, I forgot the first name, but Lord Dondarrion, I forgot who the actual lord is. But anyways, he's like, oh, Sir Arlen and I fought in one of his battles. He's here. I can have him vouch for me. So now we're going on a side quest. So we're here at the tourney, but it's not as easy as Dunk just entering in the tourney and winning it all. So now we're going on a side quest, and that's kind of what this show is going to be again, because it's pretty much the adventures of Dunk and Egg, and this is the only POV we follow from. It's going to be his adventures. He has a goal, he has a want, but he's going to have multiple side quests to get his goal or his want. And so that's kind of how this show is going to be structured. And so basically that's what happens here. And it's actually pretty comedic. it's actually kind of funny, this whole scene. Plumber is pretty funny. And again, Dunk is just so honorable that it's funny, and he's not the smartest guy in the room. Yeah.
In the week.
Like, this man should have gone in wearing his armor. Granted, he and that's actually one thing he explains. You can't just have armor, Plumber. You need nice armor, and so will be not really spoiler here, but that'll be another side quest. Dunk's gonna have to get nice armor, and that might be the next episode or the third episode. But because he can't fit Sir Arlen's armor, he's too freaking big.
And the innocent.
Serve the realm with all my might, and I swore that I would. Pavilion. Flying the banner of House Dondarrion.
Aye, Sir Manfred of that house.
Now here he's going to find Sir Manfred Dondarrion.
Wanking for a stag.
And basically, they're saying he's asleep. These are his, basically his, whores that he sleeps with, and they're saying he's asleep. Sir Manfred Dondarrion is a dog. So the whore. Oh man, let me skip that scene. No, I don't want YouTube to censor me and block me. YouTube, you didn't see that. Anyways, so he's back at Sir Manfred's. Was it Manfred or Manfred? I already forgot. You know me, I'm bad with names. But he's back at Lord Dondarrion's pavilion tent, trying to see where he's at so he can get him to vouch for him. And we see the whores again. And we see one of them's like getting dressed as their funeral, and we see she's actually alive. So Lord Dondarrion has a certain kink for sure. We'll say that. And basically they kind of like shit talk him again. And he's like, come on, guys, like, why do you keep shit talking me? And it's kind of the story of Dunk's life right now. And he's just like, he's poor, he's broke, he's ambitious, he's getting beat up everywhere he goes. No one takes him seriously. All he has is his word in his balls. Literally, he has nothing to his name. And he's just trying to make it in life and become somebody. Which is like, I really think it's, obviously a story most people can really empathize with. Most people, either middle class or lower class, and most people are ambitious and want to act on their ambitions, but they don't have the resources or the network or the money or whatever it may be to follow their dream and make it. And that's really what this story is. Again, it's not just the adventures of Dunk and Egg. It's this guy with nothing but ambition, and that's it. Can he see it through and follow his dream? Let me try and skip this scene, though, because I don't want, what's it called, to censor me. Okay, Dunk mesmerized by this girl. This girl is Tanzil Too Tall. She is basically a puppeteer or actress, whatever you call it. They go around, to tourneys and, wherever, big cities, and act. And she will play kind of a bigger role here in this as the season progresses. But we can see Dunk is mesmerized by her. So kind of the love interest. We'll see how the show does it compared to the novellas. So I guess without spoiling too much, we'll see what happens, because I don't know. The show might take it somewhere else completely. You know what I mean? And here she's kind of telling the story of a knight slaying a dragon. Dunk is a knight. The Targaryens are a dragon. There's a lot you can pull out of that, all the analogies and metaphors and all that good stuff. But anyways, he's mesmerized by her, and this is our kind of first introduction to her.
Demise. Should the dragon discover none but a man in...
So Raymond Fossaway sees him, and now it looks like they are kind of starting to become friends. It's funny because I would even say technically this is his first friend that he's made, because technically he's not even friends with Dunk yet. They just met each other. You know what I mean? Or with Egg yet. They just met each other.
I'm sorry. I should not have urged you to try my cousin. He will.
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world.
Okay. So now he's invited him to Lionel Baratheon's pavilion, where Lionel Baratheon is throwing a party because Lionel Baratheon is a Baratheon. A knight that likes to fight and party, baby. So it's cool because basically, literally, Dunk was sleeping under a hedge last night, burying his father figure, and now he's in freaking Lionel Baratheon's tent, friends with a lord, even though he's not a major lord or knight yet, Raymond Fossaway, but he's becoming friends with him, and now he's in freaking Lionel Baratheon's tent. Like, Dunk is definitely on the path to, see his ambitions through. Dunk doesn't know how to act. He just sees food and wine, and he's like, yo, I'm down. Gimme.
If anyone would.
Lionel Baratheon, otherwise known as the Laughing Storm. He's a great warrior. He's almost as big as Dunk, but obviously not as big. And Dunk wants to meet this guy. And it's funny how it happens, which is just, I forgot how they do it in the book, but they did it for the show's sake. Basically, just his servant tells him to come over.
Care to listen?
Okay, let me find it. Lionel Baratheon is like, who are you? Why are you in my pavilion? And Dunk is literally just like, supper, because he's eating. And Lionel Baratheon actually finds that funny because everybody always wants something from him. And Dunk is just like, I just came because there was food, even though really Raymond Fossaway invited him too. So it's not like he would have just gone in the first place. But so Lionel Baratheon is intrigued by him. And through this conversation, he realizes Dunk isn't confident. And he's like, yo, dude, you are huge. Be tall, be confident. You could really do something. So he immediately takes a liking to him. And as we'll see, they pretty much kind of become friends, which is insane. And it's like, yo, now you're basically friends with Lionel freaking Baratheon. He can vouch for you.
Don't slouch.
Oh, you've been carrying on. I don't know.
What do they do to heretics?
Burn them.
And Lionel Baratheon isn't the smartest person in the room either.
Fine.
Okay, so look at this. This is why I say they're like friends, basically. Because Dunk
every man, there
is
are many
literally
men.
wearing Lionel Baratheon's freaking crown. And
That I
that
had
you
to
would be
do.
killed for if you
Storm
did something
Manners
like
had
that.
always done. If they had done it, I could do it too. Yeah, it's best not to agonize.
Look at that. He's wearing his freaking crown. But anyways, you're literally having a heart-to-heart conversation now at this point, basically getting advice and just shooting shit with freaking Lionel Baratheon. It's like he's so, dull in the head, I guess, that he doesn't realize, like, hey, now I can, like, obviously, like, you don't have a hidden agenda, but, I can use this to my advantage as well as be friends with him. And it's like he never sees that, which is, it's cool that Dunk's that way, but it's like, hey, let me use this to my advantage here. And then next, so right here, okay.
Dornishman.
So now Dunk has finally found Lord Dondarrion and is asking for his help to essentially vouch for him so he can get in the cells. If we don't know, is why does Egg have his head shaved? Hint, hint, hint. But anyways, I'll just leave that there.
What are you doing?
Cooking the fish.
And so Egg here, he goes, I cooked the fish, I cleaned the horses, I set up the campsite, and then he makes a little joke. I was looking for your tent or pavilion, and he's like, I didn't see one to set up. And basically kind of a sly at Dunk. And Dunk basically like, I sleep under hedges. But anyways, here he kind of realizes the usefulness of Egg. He's like, dang, he did all this while I was gone. Like, yo, maybe it's kind of worth having a squire. And so here he basically says, all right, you can squire for me during the tourney. You're not going to become my squire, but for the purposes of the tourney, you can be my squire. And so that's kind of what we established in the scene, and obviously a little bit more character development, blah, 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 blah.
You want some?
No, I mean, to take you home.
You need to ride all the way to King's Landing. You missed the tourney.
King's
So Dunk just said, I should take you home. And then we kind of get a hint here. Egg's like, well, you would need to take me all the way to King's Landing. And then Dunk's like, oh, you're from Flea Bottom? And Egg says no. So if you're not from Flea Bottom, but you're from King's Landing, well, where are you from? Hint, hint, hint.
Landing. You're from Flea Bottom.
No.
Under the stars, then in some smoky tent.
What of him?
Do you know every night in the Seven Kingdoms then?
The good ones.
How does he know that?
After that, well, we'll see.
And then basically we get a little bit more character development. But the reason why this part is actually important, we just saw that that shooting star on the screen. They have a little conversation about, oh, if you see a shooting star, it's lucky. Obviously, Dunk wouldn't know that custom really. And Dunk's like, really? Shooting star, it's lucky. Do we get to keep the luck to ourselves, or does everyone split the luck? Blah, 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 blah. But that is important, that shooting star. They're sleeping under a tree or under a hedge, and the shooting star just passed by. And this moment, obviously, Dunk keeps asking Egg about the star and whatever. But this moment, it becomes a little bit pivotal for Dunk, as we will see why. I feel like I could really say why. It's really not a spoiler or anything. But anyways, this is kind of a little bit of a pivotal moment. Again, they're sleeping under a tree or hedge, whatever you want to call it. And Dunk sees a shooting star. And this is the beginning of his journey of becoming a knight in the tourney and things like that. So just keep that in mind as we get later in the episodes. And that's pretty much it for this episode. But I do want to go. No. I do want to show they did a new trailer at the end, and I do want to go over it quickly. Let me see where it starts. Okay. Oh, maybe not right there. Okay, right here. Okay.
The city.
So here we see Dunk as a kid. I guess they're going to do flashbacks in this show. They didn't really do flashbacks in the novella or anything like that, like Dunk as a kid. Like, we really didn't learn anything about Dunk as a kid. So I'm guessing they not only want to show like his upbringing and why he is who he is, but also, probably just fill in time too. But also, I think they want to get to a hint to who Dunk's mother is, which technically is really no one. I don't think that's a spoiler, but his father. Now, no one knows who his father is. So I don't know if they're going to answer that in this show. So here we're at a flashback, and this trailer it's for episode 2, but a lot of it is throughout the episodes. So
Small for us, Dunk. I never got nothing by waiting around. You want a family?
So that looked like Dunk. It was probably in the aftermath of the Blackfire Rebellion. So if you don't know, after House of Dragon, which is the Civil War between the Targaryens, there's basically 3 mini ones. It's called the Blackfire Rebellion. There's 3 of them. This takes place after the first one, which is basically another mini civil war within the Targaryens. Essentially, I forgot who the king was after Maekor, or not Maekor. Anyways, not important. He basically legitimizes all his bastards, and he has an actual true-born son, but he's not a fan of his true-born son because he's like a nerd. He reads books, wants peace, is smart, and his bastards are like more badass. So like they want to be knights and they fight and stuff like that. So the king legitimizes all his bastards. So basically, the 2 eldest fight for the crown in what's called the Blackfire Rebellions, and this takes place after the first one, and there will be 2 more which takes place during this series. I do believe Dunk participates in one of them. I don't want to get too spoilery, but it's been a while since I've read the novellas. But again, since this is the story of Dunk and Egg, I don't think we're going to get too much into the Blackfire Rebellions, even though like it really could be its own show. But because they did that flashback, they might do flashbacks to the first Blackfire Rebellion. So we'll see. Not too sure where they go with that, because I know the showrunners, they said they didn't want to do it because it's basically like a House of Dragons, and it's like a more mini version of the House of Dragons. So I don't think they wanted to run it at the same time. So kind of is what it is, but I think they could have made a movie or a show or something about it. Oh, and on that note, it looks like they're making Aegon's Conquest a movie, which is kind of badass. I think they're going to make it like a 2-part movie series or 3-part movie series, basically. And the sequel, I don't know how exactly they're going to do the sequel, but the sequel, like basically, it seems like the sequel to Game of Thrones. They're working on that, and it seems like it's going to follow Arya as the main character. Now, I don't know if she's only going to be the main character. It's going to be her POV, or if they're going to have all the other main characters in their POV, which they should if they're going to truly call it a sequel. But originally they were going to do a Jon Snow one, where basically he has like PTSD and he has to figure out, he like threw his sword away, he burns down his cabins and builds them back up north of the wall. But they scrapped that, and now they're going to do an Arya one. So I don't know. To me, if they call it a sequel, they have to show every main character and what's happening after Game of Thrones. But anyways, got off on a tangent there. Let's watch the trailer.
Go out there. Get a family.
Sir Erwin taught me sword and shield. Away from castles and servants.
Someone will remember him. He spoke of his time in your service as his very finest.
See, look at that. Now he's going to another lord who it looked like it could have potentially been even the High Towers. I don't know if he's the main lord or just some knight. He's going to another lord and asking him to vouch. When the scene before, we just saw him dancing in the party again with Lionel Baratheon. Like, bro, ask Lionel Baratheon why you keep going to other lords. But, I mean, I get it.
I know him not, man.
This is undignified, sir.
No! Goose eggs, like goose eggs.
You must think me a fool.
All men are fools.
Hedge Knight. Will you heed my
Uh-oh. Look at that. Laying down this plot right.
call to war?
All men are knights.
Shut up.
After the tournament, I can stay in as your squire. Come on!
If I lose my first joust, I'll scarcely be a knight.
But if you win,
Mind your pride, Sir Duncan.
Now, anytime we see, I don't know if that's going to spoil, actually. I don't want to spoil it, so maybe I won't say that. Never mind.
There are princes about.
he's passing her.
Okay. So now we just seen Prince Arion. Oh, crap. Is it Prince Arion or Prince Darren? I think it's Prince Arion. He just broke Tanzel Tootal's finger, who is essentially Dunk's love interest. And here we see Dunk about to lay the pound.
It is never wise to strike a king's grandson.
So basically, he is going to be the antagonist of this season. So he hit the prince, essentially. One of the princes, he's Makor's son, who is Egg's brother, and I don't want to spoil that either. Oh, fuck. I just spoiled that. Oops. Oh, man. Sorry. I'm trying not to spoil things, but I'm so bad with it. Oops. My bad, guys. Don't watch if you don't want to hear spoilers, because sometimes they just slip out. Let's just watch the trailer.
I have no choice. Trial by combat. It must be held at dawn.
That was Prince Baelor, who's this I can say. That was Prince Baelor. He's next in line to potentially be king. And he's actually pretty noble. He kind of believes Dunk, but he has no choice because Dunk just hit one of the princes. And so now this is the whole plot line. This is basically it's a trial by combat. So now Dunk has to figure out how to basically recruit other knights to help him fight in this trial of combat, because it's going to be a trial of 7 on 7.
That means battle axes and lances of war.
I know what it means.
I always knew you meant trouble.
Come out, little knight. It's time you face the dragon.
All right, and that was the trailer. I am super excited. I'm loving it. Again, this is definitely more toned down version, but of a story in Westeros. But I'm loving it because that's not what this story is. It's not a huge epic. It is just a fun one, the adventures of Dunk and Egg, and again, watching Dunk's ambition and how he's going to achieve that, and who he eventually becomes and things like that. But let me stop talking before I give more spoilers away. I'm pretty sure if you're watching, you probably know a decent amount if you watch me. But either way, my bad on that little spoiler. I don't know. Maybe I should just become a spoiler channel so I can actually tell you what I want to say. But anyways, appreciate you guys watching. If you can, please like. That helps the channel. Obviously, we're a small channel here, growing channel. I'm trying to put out more videos, but as you know, I'm writing a comic, so it's kind of hard to balance that, and I got a full-time job. So it's hard to balance all that. I'm trying to work on a good way to do that because I do want to do more videos. But if you can, please like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please comment below your thoughts, what you think of the channel, what content you want to see. Or just say, hey, you're a dummy. You always forget names and you spoil everything. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next one. I will be doing breakdowns for every episode for all the trailers that comes out. And then a few months after the Night of the Seven Kingdoms ends in summer, we have House of Dragons. So we got 2 Westeros shows in 1 year, which is going to be crazy. They're already filming season 2, by the way, of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. They've already been greenlit for season 2 and 3, so that's for sure going to happen. From what it sounds like from Ira Parker, the showrunner, George R.R. Martin has enough content for like 10 books. He just hasn't wrote all the books. He's only wrote the 3. So what they might do potentially is basically make them hour-long. After season 3, potentially, they're going to make them hour-long episodes. That way they can basically have probably like 5-season show or something like that, because I don't think they're going to have 10 seasons. But that's just what I've been hearing. I don't know for sure anything like that. I don't have insider information. I wish I did. That'd be lit. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next one. It'll probably be for the next episode. I don't know what else I'll be breaking down right now, mainly just because of the time commitment. But I'll definitely see you in the next one, guys. Probably next Monday, because it usually takes me a day to get everything coordinated and ready. But I appreciate you guys watching. And again, see you in the next one.